Hey everyone, I'm Bazinga again. Today I'll be drinking a tea that's been in my stash for a while, that I received as a free sampler from Farmerleaf, which is the Spring 2021 Pasha small trees. And I've had this tea only once before, and I remember it being great. I remember it being actually one of my favorite teas at the time. It had a very good taste to it. It had a very good mouthfeel to it. It had a very good body feel to it. So I remember it being all around great. So let's see if this tea holds up. It's been over a year, perhaps even a year and a half that I've had this tea. So let's see what it brings and go with the first impressions. So the smell is actually a bit subdued. There's like the typical smell I associate with Boulang teas, which are like inherently smoky. It's not like real smoke, but it hints towards smoke. And also some like more leathery notes. There is some floralness in the background, but it's not really all in your face like some other sheng is. I'm filming this at the beginning of 2026, so this tea is almost 5 years old. So it's still considered young tea. But not fresh anymore either. So let's see how the wet leaves smell. Okay, there is some ripe fruit that's coming through. The smokiness is gone. There's like a mineral note to it, minerality. More leather, more blonde tobacco, more fruits, but no real florality. That's something that's not present, which I remember there being. I checked my notes earlier. So quick first infusion, and already a lot of activity for such a short flash steep. So there seems to be a lot of saponins in the tea, which are creating these bubbles. Color is quite light for a tea that's 5 years old. Yeah, not really very dark, but that's to be expected. It's just a sample, so this tea didn't really have room for aging. Color looks quite viscous, and we'll have a first taste. Cheers, everyone. All right, so not yet the thickest, but it is like coating. It's not oily thick, but it is coating. Just see that I can describe it a little more. Yeah, light but coating. There's a light bitterness, definitely a light bitterness, but it's fleeting, it passes quickly. I can taste there is some astringency though. Not a lot of noticeable upfront sweetness, so like for a normal puerh tea. But already, wow, I'm really getting a very fast floral, slightly fruity aftertaste in my mouth. I can feel sweetness on my gums as well. It's actually quite fast. That's not something I usually get this fast in a tea, so that's very promising, to be honest. And you can see I just pour in the water and already a lot of bubbles are forming the first instant. So very promising as well. Again, a lot of activity, very nice. I really like it. Yeah, color is a little richer, a little darker. I would call this like a pale amber kind of color. Okay, and what is interesting, I don't know if the camera picks it up, but I can see this tea getting slightly cloudy. Perhaps if I fill this cup a little more. Can you see it? This one is getting a little cloudy in comparison with the tea I've just made. That's interesting. From what I've gathered, that means that there are a lot of well, tea compounds, I can't remember the name, like polyphenoids, I think, that are reacting with the air and creating this cloudiness. I will just do one more taste for mouthfeel in the second infusion. Cheers. All right, thicker, much thicker. Not very thick, but thicker, medium thick. Very nice. More upfront bitterness. No real sweetness to balance it out. And in terms of taste, more tobacco leaf, more leathers. Right, now it passes. And now there's this floral fruitiness coming through. Again, that sweetness, that like saccharine sweetness on my gums. Yeah, very nice. All right, I will go up to the middle steeps. I'll return back and I will see how this tea is making me feel. All right, brewing up what is the 6th infusion of this tea. As you can see, there's still a lot of activity going on. And I was very surprised at the 4th infusion because it suddenly ramped up in bitterness and astringency while keeping those same leathery, slaty taste, and also that smoke taste returned all of a sudden. Now I'm very interested to see if it is still present into this 6th infusion. And the astringency throughout the session has been ramping up. It's a very nice mouthfeel all in all. So the bitterness plays very nice with the astringency. The astringency lasts a little longer, but it also makes your mouth salivate. You get a very nice returning sweetness in the mouth. It almost feels like you've been chewing on a piece of sugar, which is very, very sweet, and it pops up all of a sudden. I have a decent body warming going on through this tea. There's really no really upfront sweetness noticeable when drinking the tea, but the returning sweetness compensates a lot for that. And the aftertaste is very sweet, very like floral, fruity, very pleasant all in all. So I feel like this tea, it takes a while to reveal its character. It takes like 4, maybe 5 steeps, and those are flash steeps, to reveal its character, which is different from a lot of other Farmerleaf teas. I'm going to take the example of a Jigmai tea, where you immediately get the true character of the tea. You know what you're getting throughout the session in the first 1 or 2 infusions, and here you really only get that after 4 or 5. So for me it takes a while to ramp up, to reveal its nature, to show what its potential has in comparison to other Farmerleaf teas. I did check the website. Unfortunately, the tea has gone out of stock, which is a shame, because having a cake of this would be really nice. But who knows, perhaps in the future it will come back. We'll have to press William on that. So I will enjoy the rest of these infusions. We'll give a final verdict in the last infusions or the late steeps. But as of right now, it's looking very, very nice. So see you there. All right, brewing up what will be the last infusion. There we go. And the color has developed quite nicely. So more orange in color. So this is the 13th infusion. And I just like to go through all of its characteristics or all of its properties, because I think this tea is a very nice example of a tea that has like everything. So in terms of taste, there is like that classic sheng puerh taste. Now this is more like a boulang tea, so not very floral, not very fruity, maybe like I said a little bit. So that taste profile is something typical to the region. But there's nice aftertaste, nice floral fruity aftertaste. There is a very nice coating mouthfeel. It even goes in the throat a bit. There is some light cooling at the back of the mouth in the first couple of infusions. There's upfront sweetness there in the more later infusions, so you can really see how this tea develops and evolves throughout the steeps. There is definitely bitterness more in the first steeps than in the later steeps. There's astringency as well that continues to build throughout the session. There's it makes the mouth salivate. It leaves a nice body feel, not quite as relaxed as some other teas, but it's calming a bit. It's more of an invigorating tea. There is definitely a warming sensation that takes place as well. So I think that ticks all of the right boxes and makes for a very good sheng puerh all around. Now, like I said, this is the 13th infusion, so it took a while for the tea to ramp up, and it's coming down slowly as well. And that's a big comparison from the Autumn Lawman that I've had previously, where it drops off quite suddenly and quite quickly in the 7th steep or the 8th steep, I can't quite remember, where it becomes more vegetal. This becomes more vegetal around and more upfront sweet around steep 9 or 10. Then it's when it's losing its taste, but not really losing much of its strength, if that makes sense. So I have been taking my time throughout this session. I have been taking a little more time between the steeps, and I think that's really the way to go when drinking this tea. It takes some time, and it takes some, you can appreciate the tea a little more. And what is interesting to me as well is how this is advertised as small trees, the Pasha small trees. But to me, it's a much more powerful tea than, for example, the Bangwai big trees from Farmerleaf. So I think the term big trees loses perhaps a bit of meaning there, because this tea feels stronger all around than for example those Bangwai big trees. I think that's a very good example and a very clear example of how the terroir influences the tea and not as much how big the trees are. Now, obviously, I can't quite see how big these trees actually are, but I think it's a very nice example, and we'll have to take William's word for it that these are in fact small trees and those Bangwai big trees are in fact big trees. So, final verdict on this tea, it's a very nice tea, like I said, very nice all around. I give it a 9.5 out of 10 on the TDB app. I even gave it a 10 out of 10, just because, well, if I won't use it for this tea, then I don't know for which tea I'd use it. This is perhaps the best tea I've had in a long while, and the best tea in my stash right now. Too bad I only got a sample of it. So let me know if you've had this tea. Perhaps you've had the Pasha Big Trees in the past. How was that? Let me know. Consider leaving a like. Consider subscribing to this channel if you want to see more tea videos. And I'll see you in a next episode. Cheers.